All right, Dance This Mess Around is your standout track, Evan. But you're right that I think you kind of have it's sneaky loaded. It's sneaky loaded, this album, because you look at the album and you kind of see Rock Lobster, you see the names that you most recognize. But I was really drawn to, for whatever reason, I was drawn to Hero Worship, actually. And I think it was something about it was a tonal shift that was subtle but distinct to me, and it really kind of doubled down on the drama in a way that I thought was effective, and it's such a short album and it moves so quickly that if the shades are so subtle, it bears a lot of attention. Like you're saying, you can either lightly listen to this, but one way in which I'll definitely agree with you already is that it rewards deep listening in a way that you may not expect it to. And I think Hero Worship's a great example of that. Did you have any others that stuck out to you, Michael?
Yes. The song Lava, to me, was, we talked about camp. The definition of, because I've taught students about, try to get them to understand what camp is. And, if they're queer, they get it. If they don't, it often takes a little pulling. So I often try to think of moments or things that I point to and go, that's camp. Like, for example, Joan Cusack in Addams Family Values, the monologue towards the end when she's got them all in the electric chairs, that's camp.
That is
right?
camp.
Now, on the song Lava, which, let's be real, is maybe the most suggestive song on the album. I know, Evan. It's a song. It's not about just volcanoes.
Little ears. No,
I know. Sorry, we're informing you of this today. There's a moment where, after they've been singing about lava and whatnot, and there's like a da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and Fred Schneider says, "I'm gonna go jump in a crater," and then it goes da-na-na-na-na-na-na, and the two ladies go, "See you later." Like, the way that they sing it, I can envision the faces that they both had, that sort of cool, and it's just, they're seriously silly. It's a song. He's talking about jumping in a crater. I mean, there's so much. Yes, they list the 52 girls of the USA, but they don't actually get to 52. They make up the 16 dances that everybody does, but they don't get to all 16. But they assume the ones that are missed. But in the song Lava, that moment, if I could point to a musical moment that defines camp for people, that is what I would point to. So Lava, for me, is... that's my standout. Sorry we upset you, Evan, with, I know you thought it was a harmless geological journey.
I don't know what to think. I thought I was just learning about different lava infested islands and lands, but now I know, and I'm shocked.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Also, is there nothing more fundamentally queer than name all 16 dances and you don't, name 52 girls and you don't? That is the queer experience right there. Just not finishing your story, saying something and being distracted over that. I mean, come on, that is so deeply entrenched.
Or saying if there's 52 or 16 and then being like, "Oh, I'll tell you the rest later." That's withholding information.
Oh, this is a shade. Yes, this is a shade I didn't know. This is a good one. This is well articulated.
It depends on how you want to engage with different art on here, because I have a feeling that there are still a lot of people. We're talking about all the different queer and unique elements in here, and this is still a record that I think may not even be ingested in that for a while. I feel like I didn't really pick up on the majority of those queer themes until fairly recently. But again, that's also why I was so curious about your journeys into this record of just, was this truly a party pop band? Was it just cosmic thing? Did you ever feel the compelling need to go in further, or was your idea of what the band was already solidified through their huge radio hits like Love Shack and whatnot?
I think it's that they're so specific, that they're so specifically them, that they kind of feel like they're not... you'd hear Love Shack at a wedding, right? Love Shack would definitely play at a wedding, but also it's not like it has an ideal setting other than that. It can kind of work everywhere. You could hear it in Walgreens. You could hear it in, you could hear it in the car. It wouldn't be crazy for somebody on NTS to put a B-52's song on there. So they kind of have that cred. And I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe it's the aesthetic, it's that they're so aesthetically tied to this image in my head that has kind of said, "Oh, I'll get them." Like that's like I kind of have thought maybe there isn't more to mine there, and it's not like they have a crazy large discography either. It's not like there's a ton to go back and really dig into and mine. So I think like when you see that you kind of what you have is what you have, and they're also this sort of very imagistic band, very something that's kind of feels like beehive hair and little bit maybe it's also an 80s thing, like I think that there is something very 80s about them to me, that I kind of lump them in with some other new wave bands if I'm really going to kind of expand my definition a little bit. And I don't know, I mean now kind of hearing this alternate take on it, I don't know if I understood them as queer icons. I don't know if you would consider them that, if they hold that kind of place in the community, but I definitely see them read as queer artists. I don't know, maybe that's a distinction I haven't fully articulated yet.
Weren't they called all sorts of homophobic slurs like when they were just getting started? I think I remember reading something about that. Like when they would go to shows or clubs or whatnot. But maybe they just didn't ever make. Well, you couldn't make it your thing in the 80s. Like you couldn't make that the flag that you flew because it would be instant career death. I mean, they even like barely mentioned, the fact that one of their members died in the mid 80s. It just wasn't something that I don't think Ricky Wilson, right? That's the name. He didn't want it brought up, and he kept it hidden from the other band members. And I mean, I think that's part of it. But when you look back, it's sort of one of those things, like you look back and you're like, how do we not know about George Michael? Right. You look back at this band and you look at the video for Love Shack featuring RuPaul, who wasn't RuPaul yet at that point. And all the signs are there, but in hindsight, it's so much easier to spot them, it seems like.
Right. Remember that for the longest time, Elton John, he had to struggle with it. He's someone who wore a lot of extravagant and incredible outfits, for the record. And then he ran into a world where the day that he came out as bisexual, there was a big controversial magazine article and everything else at the time. And there were protests, and there were people that were upset. There was worry that it would stop his career commercially in his track. He'd be blacklisted from radio. And that's because he vaguely alluded to the fact that he was bisexual. And, as per a lot of gay people's experience, sometimes they'll be the buy now, gay later kind of thing. But like even that was still radical at the time. So it's that tough line that I think a lot of people have to fight in terms of acceptance. There's that thing where as much as and it's weird because with the B-52's, you could so very clear that is the fact that success happened to them, that they had hit songs, that they had a commercial following, that they're still touring as of this year, 2026, when we record this. Like when you think about all that, they never really cared about commercial success, though, I would argue. Like having a hit single is great and everything, but they were more interested in having fun. They were more interested in having community together. If you look at some of those footage of their early shows, it's a punk show, basically. Like, yes, they are doing all these quirky things over here, but again, they are building their own community. And ultimately, if the normies happen to come in because they think Rock Lobster is a big, stupid, fun hit, great, because the rest of it is going to be a radical and insane journey that they're going to go on over here. Again, you think about Elton John, you think about George Michael, there's still tons of straight people who love that stuff too, who didn't necessarily pick up that, there might be themes here, there might be something to father figure that I'm not picking up, or Shock the Monkey, or whatever random songs he has that is going to be maybe slightly more transgressive. But like it is the thing where finding your commercial space in a world full of straights is a wild thing, but it's a wonderful thing, and acceptance is great. And certainly if people can make money off you, that will always provide a little bit of a shield for queer people, and that is certainly nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, the fact that they are still around and the fact that they are still considered who they are is due to that community, that quirkiness that they've created for themselves. And so when I listen to this record, it's the kind of thing where, in a way, I feel seen. We've all had those bizarre flights of fancies, those non sequitur bits of humor in our lives here, but it is the last thing I'll say is that as it may not even necessarily be intended as a queer work, which I think is maybe its most radical aspect to it. Like, I'm not sure I don't think they were set it out with that kind of intention. They just were who they were, and we're picking up on these themes later. And I think there's power to be found in that, but also you could tell they're queer artists, because when it comes to getting a beehive wig and wearing a 60s pattern dress in 1979, baby, they thrift shopping. And that's how you overcome anything. That's how you transport people to a different world. You find a cheap, weird thing that someone discarded and you turn it into art, baby. And that is exactly what they did.
Storefront theater, baby. That's it.
Baby. Exactly.
Listening to them this time, I was struck by the fact that I could see a connection line between the B-52's and Riot Girl. I hadn't ever really heard that until listening to this album. I mean, maybe it's just Kate Pearson's vocals, especially on Dance This Mess Around, but also, frankly, on 52 Girls. Those two songs especially, it's just, there's, we talk about Corin Tucker from Sleater-Kinney having this like really defining voice that no one else sounds like that. And then I listened to this album and I'm like, oh, actually, some people did sound like this. And I don't know,
the surf rock thing, I think, is definitely a connective sonic thread there. I see that connection totally.
Absolutely. And also, I just want to point out that we're also kind of waltzing over the fact that there's a song called 6060842, which is about calling a number or you found on a bathroom stall, looking for a good time and getting frustrated that no one's picking up.
Looking for a very nice time. Not a good time, a very nice time.
Very nice time, right,
which
exactly.
Again feels like a campy moment on this album.
It's like, operator, what's wrong? I dial the stupid number all day long. Your number's been disconnected. Like, again, sexual frustration. Again, fundamental queer experience. Let's be so real.
Wait a minute. That song's about sex?
It's about lava. He was looking for a good volcano to jump into. Let's be real with ourselves here.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. I'm okay with that.
It was the volcano hotline. That's clearly what was happening.
Yeah. This is a geological survey.
Tectonic plates.
I know. Yeah. Let's say another geology word here.
My plates do be shifting. Let's be so real.
All day, every day, baby.
My God.
This is the best episode we've ever done. I love it.
All right, Evan. So the last time we spoke with you about an album that you nominated, because you also you came back to visit when Tyler was nominating Wilco's A Ghost Is Born. Yes. But the last time we were talking to you about an album you brought forth, you were talking about The Avalanches. And we're curious to know if this album meets the same standards as that one, or did you use a different set of standards to guide you when determining that this is a perfect album?
It's interesting because these are, I think, two albums that are almost completely not in conversation with each other in any shape, way, or form for the most part. But it is the kind of thing where they still check off the box for me of what a truly great album is that it will change and evolve over time. And that is one where the thing is that, like, at the end of the day, it's the thing where it's so fascinating that some of these albums are just set as to where they are. They're just set in time. And then you feel like either the time catches up with you or you catch up with it. And I think about, when you think about Daft Punk's Discovery, foundational text in terms of everything that's happened with dance music. And it's the thing where you listen to it now like, oh, that's a great album. But at the time, it was ahead of its time. And since then, it's become only even more prescient in terms of what pop music has become and dance music. Like, it has become this thing where it is still locked into its release date. But so much of the world that has grown up out of that is we're still discovering it. It's still shifting. It's still changing. It's still waving and waiting things around. And that's how I kind of feel about both of these records too, because with The Avalanches, Since I Left You, it's a sonic journey where I just was involved. I was just lost, and I can still listen to it. Even when we listened to it for the actual recording that we did, I was hearing new elements that I had not heard before, which is a radical thing. But this is a different kind of thing, because for me to still have there's still discoveries I'm making about this album every single day, truth be told. Like, every time I listen to it, there's just something a little bit more radical, a little bit more weirder, a little bit more, oh, this is sexual. This is a little bit, I'm, shocked and scandalized. And again, even the, boys, bikinis, girls, and surfboard thing, like, I click with it differently now than when I heard it back then. So it's less that the album is changing because it is still static object. For me, I'm changing and I'm growing as we all are. And therefore my relationship with it is changing, and I'm seeing how much of that album informed my journey. And the more I am confident and self-aware of myself, the more I'm realizing some of that was laid here, and I may not have even realized it. It's a little time bomb of an album in a sense too. And experiencing it when I did in the 90s versus experiencing it now in 2026 are radically different things. And it's kind of nice because as much as there's always those people are just like, man, I wish I could take that pill and watch that movie for the first time, watch that TV show, hear that album for the first time. At the same token, as much as I still love hearing those opening riffs of 52 Girls way back in the day and how much that had changed me and thought it was the greatest pop song ever written, since then, I have a much more personal relationship with this record because I relate to it all the more. And when I got to actually interview Cindy to look back on the world back in the day, that was just a foundational moment for me to finally be able to actually speak to someone who made one of those records for me. Is still like such a profound and deep thing. And to be fair, she didn't say a lot that was, I thought, groundbreaking over there. We were just talking generally about her solo career, but also just about the B-52's in general. And it was interesting because at the very least she did admit that, I mean, I liked the later albums, but, recording them just wasn't as fun. There was something I liked about those early records that was so much more, interesting and gritty and palpable and like girl preach. Like that's the thing, that raw basement galaxy sound you get out of the echoing of guitar strings across a concrete wall will always be better than the latest studio sheen for me, because if I like my pop music, I like a little bit of grit on it. And if you want to talk about this album, there's always going to be a little bit of grit all over the place. So yeah, that's my relationship has changed with it because I've changed. And I think the more time I realize things about myself, the more I realize that this album helped inform a lot of that. So yeah.
Well said, buddy. Well said. I guess we should deliberate this, shouldn't we, Michael? We should probably. We should probably make this formal, shouldn't we?
I do, I do briefly take issue with you saying that these two albums you've nominated don't feel like they have similar things going on.
I saw your face quirk up there, right? Yeah.
Because they both feel like they're sort of pulling, like, like B-52's has sort of a thrift shop aesthetic. And I think of the Avalanches as being sort of like I don't know, they're like the way they crafted
grab
it
bag.
together. It feels a little bit, grab bag or like, mood board or.
They're sample bin, they're sample bin scroungers, that's what they, like they're going through. There's the patchwork DIY kind of thing. I think is there's a punk adjacent punk, like the grittiness that I think the Avalanches embodied too. So I would take issue with that as well. I think you're right, Michael.
Yeah, sure. Hope it doesn't harm your case, Evan. Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah. I know.
Shocked.
Well, in that case, it sounds like it might be time for us to move on to the next phase of our episode, which is called the dun dun. Deliberation phase.
Got it.
That one will be pretty good, I think.
I thought maybe you were going to try and say it with us, Evan.
Yeah, I thought he was.
I didn't have the soundboard ready. I can try again to get the sound effect, get the echo in there. Right? Yeah. Just a bunch of air horn sounds over here. Just that. Yeah.
Sad trombones.
Yeah. Man.
Price is Right theme. All the good stuff. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Go
okay, I'll start. So I think it's. You're somebody who I so trust your ability to kind of vulnerably share what art does to you, and this has become, it was very clear to us, or at least to me, I don't want to speak for Michael, but it was very clear from the very beginning of us knowing you that you bring a level of care to the way that you interact with all art and really just with the world around you that I think is really admirable, Evan. And I think it's one of the best things about you. It's a beautiful thing. And I aspire to that level of sensitivity to kind of the things that I encounter in my life. And I think the way that you kind of, just the story of it was your stepmom, your stepmom leaving those notes for you. I'll get choked up referring to it now because that's such a beautiful thing that was just captured in a sentence, and I think that was a perfect entryway into understanding what a gift an album can be to you over time and how it will immediately transport you back to moments like that in your life where you felt cared for and you felt like you belonged and you felt like you were safe. And if we're talking about pillars of a queer manifesto, I think all of those words would need to be involved in that text. So I was pretty much hooked from there, and I didn't. There's a million more takes that I want to hear of yours. So just rest assured, we're gonna need to tap that mind of yours many more times over the years. That's where I'm standing on Evan's argument. Michael, what do you think?
Oh, I mean, come on. Like he brought, I mean, this is,
Yeah.
this is in the bag, right? I mean, I think I appreciate like, I didn't know that you had only somewhat recently come to see this as like a queer text. So the fact that you loved it before then, I mean, I read the article you'd written where you sort of broke it down track by track. But then also, like Tyler referenced, hearing your personal connection and how you actually discovered this, and the fact that B-52's was your first concert. I mean,
huge.
This is it's I do enjoy, the occasional Pitchfork article where they really break an album down and they get really like technical and like nerdy about stuff. But I much more appreciate it when there's a sprinkling of that mixed with the personal connection to things. And I think that that's something that you have done today and that you have always done every time we've spoken to you. So
even when you're not the one doing it.
Yeah. Also, you're also the king of just being like at the end of the episode, and you mentioned like, well, when I interviewed Cindy, like just sliding that one in there, like, but like in a humble way. We don't think you're like being.
I'm not going to lead with that. I had to reread it last night, but it's just like, I remember taking that. But if you had,
if you had, we also would have been like, that's amazing. And it wouldn't have seemed like a brag, Evan. So take the compliment. Calm down.
Damn, okay.
Well, let me put it to you, Michael.
Okay.
We're big Evan Sawdey fans over here. And I think the B-52's is right up our alley. I think this is this one goes to 11 pilled album. So I ask you, has Evan done enough on this most recent appearance on the pod? Will the B-52's by the B-52's gain entry to the pantheon? Does it go to 11? Is it a perfect album?
Absolutely.
You'll better believe it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go jump in a crater. Yeah.
See you later.
Thank you. Yeah, of course it joins the pantheon.
It has to.
Why would it not?
Yeah.
Well, someone will post in the comments. They'll be like, actually, I think this is why it doesn't belong in the pantheon.
Don't you
Wild Planet was better. Right, exactly.
Well, Evan, it's been a while since we've chatted with you. Anything that you want to plug for our listeners or viewers? And this doesn't necessarily need to be something you're doing or that you're making. It can also just be an album you've heard that you think our fans need to check out, or a television show, or a movie you saw, or a book you read, or I don't know, a cookie you had.
Yeah,
I'd especially appreciate that if you talked about a cookie you had that was really good.
Some crumble cookies. Let me just tell you something. Sometimes they try and do the Dubai chocolate on a donut form. It doesn't always work out. I'm saying, sometimes you got to leave it to candy bar form as it is intended.
Can I confess something?
Yes.
I don't fully understand the Dubai chocolate craze. I've tried it.
It's manufactured.
Like it tastes, depending on how it's made, like sometimes it tastes almost a little bit like peanut butter, and I'm like, this is not what I signed up for.
I think I've had a lot of varying degrees of quality Dubai chocolates over the years. Unfortunately, you do have to pay for the good stuff. The people who know what they're doing, it's good. When you get that little textural, crunchy element in there, it is potentially life changing. But there's the mid stuff will just turn you off to it completely. So I completely understand. If people want to, they can certainly go ahead and listen to the podcast I do where we talk about the international seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race. It's called Worldwide Tea. It's the podcast the queens listen to, and one of them got in arguments with us, and then eventually it came on the air to clear it up. So that was a wild time. They won the season. It was interesting. But yeah, I would say that. I would ultimately say check out Brother Tiger. I would say check out Brother Tiger's Fundamental series. Some of the best ambient, instrumental, mid-tempo kind of records I've had. Started in the pandemic, went on for 5 records. Pretty incredible. And yeah, I think Jessie Ware's bringing it. That's probably the other thing I'll say. She has yet to miss in her career, and I don't see it happening in the future. So that's where I'm at. So yeah,
Jessie Ware's a real one. Evan Sawdey, you are a real one too. Thank you for coming back.
Absolutely.
I like making podcasts with my friends, and I like sharing them with the people that choose to listen to them. This is best part of my week. Best part of my week is getting to do something like this. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Michael, do you have any little messages for our listeners before we log off?
I mean, reminder, follow us on social media. That's where you know what's coming up with the podcast. You know, we're reaching the end of the season, so like there might start sprinkling some details about some bonus stuff over the summer. We've been dangling the carrot about the final album we're going to cover this season. If you've been listening, you may have picked up on some hints along the way, but
tell us in the comments what you think it is.
What do you think it is? Other than that, I think the only thing left to say, and I think we should let Evan say it, I think the only thing left to say is...
There goes a narwhal!
Oh my god.
That was perfect. Bye, everybody. We don't have anything on that. See you later.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.